Hey guys, it's Jessie Haggerty, and today we are doing a total body mat workout. So all that means is that you need a yoga mat. If you don't have one, don't worry, just make sure you're on a nice clean hardwood surface, or carpet is fine as well. Let's get started. All right, we're gonna start lying down flat on your back, arms reaching over the head, feet parallel to each other, and then lifting those hips up towards the ceiling. So in this bridge position, you want to make sure that your knees are over your ankles, your ribs are drawing in, your abdominals are drawing in, and you're really pressing up through the hips here to stretch out and lengthen the front of those thighs there, lengthen those hip flexors. Right now we are just holding it here to find this position. Keep those feet relaxed, gently pressing down through the heels to really activate those glute muscles. And now we're going to start pulsing those hips up towards the ceiling. So just a little release and then pressing up. Again, keeping those abdominals tight, keep breathing here, and really try and relax through the upper body. Let that chest open and those arms relax. Make sure that those knees stay tracking in line with those ankles. They're not splaying out to the side or collapsing inwards. Now we're going to start dropping those hips down all the way, and then exhale, pressing straight up again towards the ceiling. Always making sure those knees stay over the ankles, pressing down through the heels. And if you start to feel this in your low back, maybe just don't come up as high. You don't want to force the hips up, but you do want to feel those glutes contract and those hip flexors, the front of your thighs, lengthen. If you feel any tension in the tops of the legs here, it might be because you're tight there. You shouldn't be using those muscles right now. Just a few more like this. Again, keep breathing. And then from here, bring those hands behind the head. We're going to do an active crunch to really open the chest here. So inhale, let those elbows come wide, and then exhale, draw them in and try and lift those shoulder blades up off the mat. Always make sure you exhale on the way up and you draw the belly button in towards the spine. So you're pulling those abdominals up and in to lift your torso here. Don't let them press outwards. Try your best to keep those hips relaxed now. It's really easy to get some extra muscles involved here, but the more you can isolate this to your abdominals, the more effective it will be. So let those hips relax down into the mat. Keep the feet relaxed. And really try and connect to that breath. Inhale back, exhale, lift. Now hold this one up and start pulsing, thinking about pulling the bottom tips of those shoulder blades up off the mat, drawing those abdominals in deeper and exhaling, little tiny exhales as you pull up here. Keeping the feet relaxed, the hips relaxed. Sometimes you can put a hand onto your abdominals and make sure that you're pulling in away from the hand. I always find that a little bit helpful. And come down and relax. From here, you're going to lift those feet up off the floor. So your knees are directly over your hips here. Your shoulders are relaxed down on the floor. Place those hands on top of your thighs and then press forward. So from here, keep breathing and you're drawing that tailbone up towards the ceiling, pressing to engage those lower abdominal muscles. And then relax. So this is a traction exercise. Come back to that position, press into the thighs, press as hard as you can control, and really try and resist your push with those legs. You should feel a nice bracing in those lower abdominals. And again, make sure you're exhaling here and pulling that belly button in and away from the ceiling. relax. We're going to do one more set here. So press into those thighs. Make sure that back and that spine stay neutral. Breathe, keep that neck relaxed. And release, pulling those knees in towards your chest. Come roll up. And we're going to find a seated position here with a gentle incline. So lift up nice and tall, keeping those feet flat on the floor, and then hinge backwards. So you want to make sure you're not rounding through the spine here. The spine is nice and long and it's neutral. So you're not overarching through the back, but you're also not rounding. And now start lifting those arms up over the head and then placing them back on your knees. Keeping the shoulders down away from the ears, that chest open, and again, still breathing to pull those abdominals up and in. The arms here act as a lever, so when you lift them up, you're adding weight to the torso to engage those abdominal muscles. Keep breathing. If you need more of a challenge, you can lean back a little bit more here, but just make sure that that spine stays neutral and you're not rounding or arching through the lower back. Bring those hands back behind you, fingertips pointing out to the side to keep the shoulders mobile. And then keeping the feet right where they are, you're going to lift those hips up towards the ceiling. So this is a little bit more of an advanced bridge that we did earlier. Make sure those shoulders stay directly over your wrists. Your knees come over the ankles as you lift up. And you really try and press those hips up towards the ceiling to stretch the front body and use the back body to lift. So now we're working the hamstrings, the glutes, the low back, and a little bit in the shoulders and triceps here. Make sure you're not locking those elbows. Keep a tiny bend in the elbows or softening in the elbows, just so you're not sitting into those joints. And really try and open the chest. Now, if that felt like enough work for you, I want you to stick with that exercise. But if you want to advance this, you're going to straighten the legs out and then lift those hips up. So again, here, make sure you're not locking your knees. My legs are straight, but my knees are not completely locked. You never want to sit into a joint like that. So my elbows are slightly bent, my knees are slightly bent. They're very soft. And then just tapping the floor with those hips and then pressing up, creating a reverse plank with your body. We tend to ignore the backside of our body a lot when we work out. We do a lot of biceps, we do a lot of squats and lunges to work our quads, but now we're really going to work on engaging that back body, opening up the muscles that help with our posture. Pressing down through those heels to lift up. And now cross those ankles over and come up on to the hands and knees here. From here, we're going to go into our standard plank position, just holding it here to engage those lower abdominal muscles. Shoulders are stacked over the wrists. Press down between your forefinger and your thumb to make sure that you're not sitting into those wrist joints. And again, keeping that soft bend in those elbows. Hips are down and you are breathing. If you need to take a break or you need to modify, you can bring those knees down onto the mat. Every time you exhale here, try and pull those abdominals up even more. From here, we're going to lower on to the stomach. So try and pull those elbows in tight and then bend down on to your belly. And then lift those arms up over the head here. Make sure your neck stays long. You're not looking forward. You're looking down towards the floor. And then peel the thighs up off the mat too. So you're reaching the arms over the head, opening the legs. And then as you pull those arms down, you squeeze those legs together. This is a starfish. Inhaling, reaching and opening, and then exhale, pull down, open the chest, and squeeze those inner thighs together. This is a great exercise to get everything in that back body working. And if you can here, really try and work to pull those belly muscles up off the mat. They're not actually going to come up, but you want to feel them engaged here so you're not just sitting in those low back muscles. And think about opening those arms opening the chest here. So the elbows come almost behind your back. Your hands keep lifting up off the floor. Inhaling and then exhaling to squeeze. Bring the hands under the forehead here. And then we're going to bend the knees. Turn the knees out a tiny bit so they're pointing towards the bottom corners of your mat. And squeeze those heels together. Really try and squeeze them like you're holding a little piece of paper between them. And then as you squeeze, you're going to lift the thighs up, maybe just a centimeter off the mat. See, my legs are not going up very high. So it's really just a squeeze and lift to start working those glute muscles. And again here, try and pull those abdominals in, draw that tailbone down so you're not overarching in the low back. If you start feeling this in the low back, just don't lift up as high because you want to really try and use your strength here. Try not to use momentum to lift those legs up. Still breathing, keeping that neck relaxed, upper body relaxed. And don't forget about that little squeeze in on those heels, squeezing in to lift. From here, we're going to set up in a push-up position. You're going to keep your knees and feet in exactly the same position, but then bring your hands a little bit wider than the mat and lower down into your push-up. So you're set up perfectly for an on-the-knees push-up here, but I want you to keep squeezing those heels together so those glutes stay engaged. Keep the hips down so you're not sticking your butt out. And then inhale to lower down, bend the elbows, and exhale, press up. Every time you exhale to press, I want you to think about tightening those abdominals even more to help support you here. Inhale and exhale. And even as you press up, try and squeeze those heels a little bit more. So now we're working almost every muscle in the body. And come sit back into a child's pose for a break. See, you don't need any equipment to get a good workout in. We're working every muscle in our body, no equipment except this yoga mat. Now set yourself up so your knees are under your hips and your elbows are under your shoulders. So your arms are in almost like a forearm plank position. And then you're going to lift those arms up and then place them back down onto the mat. So really try to be careful here. Look into a mirror if it's helpful. You want those elbows to stay right under your shoulders. If they go too far back or too far forward, you're not going to work the right muscles. Keeping the hands flat on the floor, squeeze those elbows in towards each other. Barely touch the mat to come down. You should feel this in your triceps and the back of those arms. Squeezing those elbows in, keeping those abdominals tight, and the legs are relaxed here. You're not using the lower body at all. Inhale to lower, exhale to press up. Make sure you're not shifting through the shoulders. And then hover above the mat and start pulsing here. Again, keeping those shoulders directly over your elbows. Try and get a straight line from the shoulder to that elbow, and then sit back and take a break. Coming back up onto the hands and knees, you're going to keep, again, those shoulders over the wrists, pressing that ground away from you, but being careful not to lock into your elbow joints. From here, you're going to take that right knee and try and tap your right elbow, and then kick that leg back into what a ballerina would call an arabesque position. So you're going to inhale, tap that elbow with the right knee, and then press back. Watch your shoulders here. Make sure that your shoulders stay over your wrists. Your abs are drawing in nice and tight, and you're really pressing that leg back long. So you're using the glute muscles here to open up that hip and extend that leg. Now hold the leg up on this next one and start pulsing. So you're lifting that leg up towards the ceiling. And always make sure that you're not sitting into the shoulders here. Press the ground away from you, press out of those shoulders. Keep those abs tight and see if you can pulse that leg up a little bit higher with every lift. Breathe and keep that neck relaxed. Come on down. We're gonna get ready to switch to the other side. So again, shoulders are over those wrists, knees are under the hips, and abs are drawing up and in so you're not arching or overarching in that low back. Tap that left elbow and then press back. You can see from here a different angle that my hip really opens up. So my thigh is, or the back of my thigh is reaching over towards the right side of the mat to open that hip up. And you don't ever want to feel stuck. I know I always talk about, keeping those shoulders down and keeping those abs tight, but you want to find a little bit of fluidity in the body and really try and breathe through every exercise. So now holding this leg up, we're pulsing up here, pressing out of those shoulders, and just trying to get that leg a little bit higher every time. Think about this as a stretch for the front of the hip and an exercise for the back. Coming back to center, come on to the forearms. So now we're going to combine the last couple of exercises that we did. So forearms are down, you're gonna extend that right leg long in that arabesque position and then straighten the arms. So now the wrists are in front of your shoulders and you're going to tap that knee, that right knee to the right elbow, shift the weight forward and then reach back and bring those forearms down onto the mat. This is a very complex exercise, so feel free to watch this portion of the video as many times as you need to really get the movement down. The knee comes in as the arms straighten, and then you extend that leg and drop the forearms down onto the mat. So we're working the glutes, the abs, and the triceps here. So really make sure those elbows stay under the shoulders as they lower. And then as you straighten those arms, shift the weight forward to tap that knee to the elbow. Making sure those abs stay tight so you're not using that low back here. You really keep everything nice and stable. Let's switch sides. If you liked that exercise, you can definitely do more repetitions. Do as many as you need to get the right form down. If you do this with the correct form, it's going to be way more effective. So start with those elbows on the floor and then straighten the arms to bring the knee in and lower back down. Starting with the forearms down is a great way to make sure you're in the right position. Lifting up, straight arms, knee to elbow, and then press back, open that hip. Always make sure to breathe. And really try and find your full extension in both directions. Come all the way forward, get the knee to the elbow, and then press that leg all the way back as you lower the forearms down. You are almost done. You're at the home stretch, just a couple more, and then you get to relax. Shoulders away from those ears. And come sit back into a child's pose. Awesome job. Thank you so much for joining me for that total body mat workout. I hope your body is feeling right and tight right now. And as always, if you like this video, make sure to subscribe to this channel and then head on over to jessiehaggerty.com and sign up for email updates so you never miss a workout, and you also grab some extra goodies from me every week in my weekly newsletter. I will see you next week. Bye. Did you like this video? Please share and subscribe to this channel, and then head on over to jessiehaggerty.com and sign up for email updates for even more resources from me.